Welcome back to a new episode. This is the realest, most fun episode because this is real life. It's literally me talking to my best friends on WhatsApp because I'm seated on the floor in my living room with my baby, bouncing her because she is crying a lot. So we're going to see what we can do with the noise. But it's so real. My partner is about to come home as well. And here I am creating this podcast episode because I am so committed to creating this community around those values and really sharing from my heart every single Friday. So let's do it. The theme of today is going to be about commitment, discipline, versus, for the first time we're going to try not to put them in opposition, but to find the sweet spot between discipline and intuition, between commitment and hard work and showing up even when we don't want to, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, and following what feels right, following our intuition, letting the creativity and the passion guide us. And we're going to talk about finding this sweet spot. I don't know about you listening to this episode, but I know in my personal experience, I felt like I always had to be in one group or another. And you know those people that are waking up at 5 or 4 a.m. and they are super committed. They are doing the workout, the meditation. They have this very structured life. And it sounds like they are accomplishing a lot because they are very disciplined. And on the other side, you have those people that are super intuitive. They know what to do, when to do it. They're just following what feels good and they live in the flow. And once more, I feel like I don't belong to any of those groups. And I don't want to. My ultimate goal in my life is to find the harmony, the equilibrium between those two opposites. I love contradictions. I love embracing things that people are like, how can you be this and that? And that's what I want to invite you in everything that I share. I want us to be able to embrace every single facet of who we truly are, embracing the contradictions that lives within ourselves and living a free, liberated life, right? Because when we give ourselves a break and we embrace that life is full of duality, full of contradiction, full of things that don't make sense, then we live just a bit lighter and a bit happier, right? So, let's talk about this. I found out a few things over the years of working on this topic for myself that I want to share with you guys. And we're here with Rosie. She's kind of falling asleep now, listening to her mama doing a podcast episode. You can't imagine how talkative my daughter is. She's only 3 months, but she's so talkative. And I'm always joking that she is also going to have her own podcast. So anyway, let's come back to the topic. The heart of what I want to share and invite you in, and the teachings that I have learned and embodied a bit more, and that feels so good this year, is this perfect sweet spot. The sweet spot is, all right, I'm going to listen to my intuition, my creativity, and my passion. When I say that, I talk about all those moments where I know exactly what to do and when to do it. And it feels like the obvious choice. I don't even question it. And something that really comes like a strike, like a wow, explosive almost. And I usually have an inspiration for a program or Instagram post, and I take my phone out and I'm writing super fast. If you have those moments too, you know what I'm talking about, and you know how good it feels because you feel the fire inside your whole body and you feel excited, you have joy, you absolutely don't doubt yourself, you forget your name, what time of the day it is, and you're just so excited and you're in the flow, you're in this channeling moments, and it feels very, very good. I love those moments. And it was hard for me to think that I could build a life and a business out of this, because sometimes those moments just disappear. What to do in those moments? Then this is when your commitment and your discipline comes in. So then when you're not inspired, you don't have this fire burning and you're just feeling like a potato. And you don't even have to feel like a potato, but you're not feeling so inspired. What do? Then you lean back on your discipline and your commitment. You remember why you do the things that you do. You always keep in mind your bigger why. And then you show up. You just show up with discipline and compassion. This is where I want to find the sweet balance. It's because I don't see outside everything that I've learned and everything that is usually shared in podcasts or Instagram. It's always about just show up and do the things. It's very hard, very strict, very masculine driven, and it doesn't really let a lot of space for compassion. So the way I use discipline in my own life now, it's very new because I'm learning every year how to do better, is to have ridiculously small goals. So every time I have even a small goal, I try to make it even smaller, because that I can commit to easily. That I can show up with discipline. And for now, for example, I really want to relaunch my business, to put a lot of effort into my entrepreneurship journey. I'm so passionate about everything that I do and all the things that I create for the transformation of women. It's like in my guts. I can't stop it. It's so vibrant inside of me. And so I want to put a lot of energy into this, but I'm also a mother, and my daughter is 3 years old, 3 months old, and I'm at home with her all day. And so it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job. Every mom out there will know it's a full-time job. And so my commitment is to spend at least 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours. But you know what? I'm flexible. But every day I get to show up. And I do the same with my practices that makes me feel good. I realized that in 2024, most of my time and energy was directed in my belly, creating life. Because I was pregnant most of 2024, and then I got my baby. So I felt like I didn't accomplish much, which is crazy to think that. And a big demonstration of how society has infiltrated our minds to make us think that if we're just doing feminine things, we're not productive enough, we're not valuable enough. And I was growing life inside myself, and I still feel like I haven't accomplished much. But I think by that I also mean that I haven't really showed up for myself. And I wished I meditated a bit more, did yoga a bit more, and did the things that make me feel good a bit more. And I still did yoga and meditation, and I was going on walks. I was even working out at some point in my pregnancy. I was doing things for myself. But what was lacking is the discipline of doing it regularly, because I was just leaning on my intuition and what feels good. And I look back on 2024 and I'm like, oh, it's such a shame. And I don't want to live with regrets. I don't think anyone wants to live with regrets anyway. So this year I adopted a different strategy, but I didn't want to go back to the strategy that doesn't feel good either, which is to force myself to be so strict with myself, to eat just a certain type of food, to wake up at a certain time, to do my practices 1 hour for, 1 hour yoga, 20 minutes meditation, to be so strict and so rigid. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. And it creates this pressure. And who wants to live under pressure? I think we feel already so much pressure from society and work and, making money, being great parents, great lovers and everything. We don't need more pressure. And actually, I'm trying to simplify my life and to release a bit of that pressure that I put on myself. And again, that I don't feel like it's even my own. It's something that I've inherited from society and just the culture in which I grew up in. And I don't want that. It's not fun. It doesn't feel good. I want something more light and more right. Right for me, when it feels right and I can stand by it. I love to work really, really hard. I love to even suffer a little bit. I don't love to suffer. Please, God, don't listen to me when I say that. Be careful what you wish for. I don't love to suffer, but sometimes I love to be in the effort. I think, having a lot of effort for something, it's something that I enjoy a lot. But I don't want to have pressure. It's two different things. So what I've done, the new strategy that I have adopted that feels very, very good for me at the moment, that I want to share with you in case you also want to adopt it, it's this sweet spot. Most of the time you follow the inspiration, the intuition, what feels good, and you make a lot of room for that. Sorry, my nose is a bit blocked. A lot of room for that. Also, I spoke French most of the afternoon and I feel like I'm completely unable to speak English because everything that is coming to my mind is coming in French and it's very rare. But hey, I'm also on a process. Okay. Are we going to go on a tangent right now? Yes, we are, because it's full circle with Lika. Come on. I'm in a process right now to embrace my French roots even more. I've done a lot of healing around that. A little bit of backstory is that I used to say to people, when they were asking me, where are you from? I was like, I'm a world citizen. I didn't even want to say I was French. Of course, some people can guess it with my accent, but I traveled a bit everywhere, so I have a bit of a mix of everything in my accent. And depending on where I am and how long I stay somewhere, I'm like a sponge, I always... see, I can't speak. I can pick up the accent. So, I spent a bit of time in London recently. Maybe you can hear it a little bit. Anyway, I love the British accent. I love to talk with a bit of a British accent. It makes me feel like a certain way. Just love it. Sometimes I love to also use more of my French accent. A bit stronger. I can't even do properly the French accent. Anyway, we went deep on this tangent, aren't we? So I'm trying to embrace that, and I think I'm going to change a lot of the names of my programs to French names. I think it's super luxurious. And I'm in the process of building this online course that will be called Sauvage. Okay, my French friends that are listening to me, they're going to be like, okay, cool. But for all the foreigners that are not French speaking, I know it's going to sound good in your ears. I know you love the French. Sauvage means wild. And so it's all going to be about embracing the wild woman inside of us and a lot of body work to, work on the wild within ourselves. That's the end of the tangent. Let me come back. Oh no, I'm going to open a slight tangent on that because maybe you could help me actually. I had the conversation with my friend the other day about how I feel like I'm bad with names. The only name that I love is the name of this podcast. I'm obsessed with Full Circle. I love the name of my podcast. I think it's so good. I'm in love with it. But I love to have this feeling of, yes, this is it. I'm 100% full body, yes, excitement, passion around the things that I create. I love Soft and Surrendered as a name, but I'm like 99.9. I'm excited. I love it, but I could change it because I'm also revamping this program, making it even better than it was. Super quality, high transformation. It's going to be so great. And I'm open to change the name to maybe something French, maybe like sensualité. Ooh, that sounds super sexy and sensual, isn't it? Because I want also the name to represent the vibe. Sauvage is like, the wild woman. And sensualité is very sensual. Anyway, but the name that I hate is the name of my business, Lika Coaching. For now, it's Lika Coaching. It has been holistic. We had many names. I had many names. And I hate it. I don't like it. I don't hate it. It's a bit too intense. But I don't like it. And I'm so open to change, but I can't find... I even asked ChatGPT and some of my friends, and I can't find anything that truly resonate with my brand, with who I am. And I know some people listening to this podcast, they are visionaries. They have some gifts that I don't have. So I get to ask you. I'm probably going to ask in my Instagram stories as well, because I know some people are much better at finding names than I am. So let's see. My program, Bye Bye People Pleaser. I'm not a fan of it. It's good because you know what you're getting into. But I want something more sexy, more powerful, more sensual, but also very luxe, very chic and elegant. So anyway, I'm going to close all of those tangents and come back to the topic of this episode. If you have ideas, please send them to me through Instagram. Send me a little DM with some names, because I know some people, they see something and they're so inspired. They're so good with that. I have those kind of feelings, but not around names of the programs. Closing the tangent here, trying to come back to where I left before I open this whole vortex. We were talking about the sweet spot and finding it. What works for me right now is having super, super small goals. I shared that before with you, but most of the time I'm being led by this passion, this intuition, this drive, this strength, this, even when I say that, I feel it in my belly. There's a little fire. But sometimes I don't have the fire. So what do? I lean back on the small goals, the small discipline. And as I was sharing before, didn't feel really proud of my 2024. And I wanted 2025 to be different strategy. That's the strategy that I'm offering you. What if we could have the harmony of the disciplined self? I know some people are super good to be disciplined and some people are really not good at being disciplined, and it's hard. And even doing something good for yourself is hard. It's hard to commit. It's hard to show up every day. They lack consistency. Consistency can be really hard for some people. It has been super hard for me in the last few years. I used to be really good at it, and then I was not good at it anymore. But then I embraced a bit more of going with the flow, following my intuition. But then you don't really get shit done. It's like great when you have those rushes of inspiration. You can even squeeze 2 months of work in 2 days. I swear to God, that happened to me. It's magical. It's incredible. It works so well. But then you look back and you're like, why I didn't show up more? So I want to have that. So what I do is that I allow myself full compassion if I don't make it. But I have to show up. I have a bare minimum to accomplish, even if it's so small. I used to say, I'm going to manifest. I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes. But even 5 minutes sometimes, it's so hard to find during the day, or you don't want to, or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take 3 breaths. I think 3 breaths is ridiculously small enough in order for us to be able to achieve it. But show up with that discipline, because you know what? What I do now, 1 hour every day on my business, on working days, I take my weekends off to be with my family, to spend time with my partner, with my baby. I'm spending time every day with her, but you get it. I show up to the computer. Sometimes I'm not inspired. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, I don't want to create from that place either. I don't want to force my content because it's not going to be inspiring if I'm not inspired. And how do you get yourself out of this dilemma between, if I'm showing up with too much discipline and strict, I will just create shit. I will have to ask for a ChatGPT again for ideas of content. It's going to suck. It's not going to be like me, and I'm not going to be proud of the process. But I show up. Usually I open my notes and I start to write. I'm uninspired today. I'm searching for something to do or a piece of content that I could create. What can I do? And because I showed up, the ideas are coming slowly. Sometimes it's just, well, let's open Canva or let's open WhatsApp or let's open something and then I follow the thread like this. What I wanted to share in this episode today, also by showing up, I'm sitting on the floor with my baby. Now she's asleep, it's so good. But I'm on the floor with my phone. I know the sound is not going to be as perfect. I know that my partner is coming back home with pizzas tonight because we have something to celebrate. So I know I'm going to enjoy the night with him, and I'm not going to be able to do heavy edits on this podcast. And I feel a bit bad because my perfectionist inside of me is like, my God, it's not going to be perfect. But you know what? I'm having a lot more fun because I feel super connected to you. I feel like we're together in a room right now, more than when I have my mic and my headphones and I'm showing up. And I know I said "and" so many times. I started sentences that I haven't finished. And oh my God, it hurts because I wanted to bring more quality to the content. But I think the quality also comes from how real it is and how passionate I am when I talk to you, because then I can bring you in my world and we can talk about those subjects together. And my hope for you is that you learn a bit something or you spend a really good time with me today. So if I did that, we had more fun. I feel more excited today. I'm more joyful than when I'm super serious and super strict. So, hey, we're doing it. It is also because I have this deep commitment to show up with you every Friday on this podcast, talk about the things that matters the most to me, the things that are around our common values. If you're here on the podcast, it's because we share the same values of authenticity and liberation and freedom and self-growth. And I'm just happy to be here with you today. I wanted to show up and I didn't want to create a shitty piece of content. But I was reflecting on this podcast all week. I was like, what I'm going to talk about Friday, what I'm going to talk about. And I had so many ideas, but nothing felt quite right. But I was like, I need to commit. And it's late today. It feels late. It's not actually, it's 8:30. It's kind of late, but not late. Not that late. Anyway, who cares? But I'm tired. But I'm still here with you because I love you and I want to connect with you and I want to create that sense of togetherness. And I hope you feel less alone today. And I hope that you have some keys, introspection keys around how you can find your balance. Because it's not about following my strategy. My strategy works for me for now. I know it's going to change with the years and my priorities and my baby growing, my time, my money, how many people work with me, my energy levels. Strategies are always changing. But I hope it inspired you to find a strategy that works for you and that you don't have to follow the morning miracle morning ritual or whatever. You don't have to be just with your intuition either. You can find something right in the middle. And that's actually, it feels much better in my personal opinion. And I think it will feel better for anyone who finds their own way of working. Maybe it's a bit more. Maybe it's more like 60% discipline and 40% intuition. Maybe it's, 70% intuition, but then you still have 40% of discipline. The discipline is our ability to do the things, especially when we don't want to do it. Discipline is not when it's easy. Discipline comes in when it's hard, when you're unmotivated, when you don't want to do the things, when you're tired, when you're lazy, when you just don't want to show up. But the discipline is like, I don't have any choice. I'm going to do it no matter what, because I have committed to this thing. And it's driven by the bigger why. If we don't know why we're doing it and we're just stupidly doing it because we have to, then pressure. Then it doesn't feel right. It's not aligned. It doesn't feel good. If we know the bigger why, I know why I want to show up on this podcast daily, because I believe in what I share so much. And I want to create a bigger movement. I want to feel more connected to you guys listening to it. I want to feel like you can rely on you. I'm also working on my leadership, what it means for me to be a leader, leading myself with my discipline in my own life, but also showing up. If I said I will show up and then I disappear for 2 years, like most people do when they create a podcast, then you won't be able to rely on me. And I want you to be able to rely on me, to trust me, to know that I'm doing something great. So I know my bigger why. It's super important. This is the only way we can do discipline in a healthy, loving way. And then I do a lot of intuition. Today, I just tuned in and shared that because I showed up on this podcast. I'm following this strategy and I shared the strategy with you. It was 100% inspired by the moment. Anyway, I think I shared enough, and I know PL is going to be home, so I want to enjoy him as soon as he walks through the door. It's something I love to do with my man, is welcoming him at the door. It's so pleasant. I feel like a little housewife. I love it. So I'm going to do that. I hope that you have a great night, and I see you next Friday for another topic. Maybe it's going to sound a bit more professional next week. Maybe not. Who knows? But I will be there.